Shun Chuan is a renowned diplomat, but back when educated youth were sent to the countryside, he ended up marrying me, an illiterate rural woman. By a twist of fate, I was lost by my own sister, Tianji, when I was young and only returned to my parents' side 13 years later. This marriage was her compensation to me, but in the eyes of others, it became evidence that I had bullied her. That's why Shun Chuan is eloquent in public but becomes as silent as a clam when facing me. I took the initiative to start conversations, but he rarely responded. I bought him new clothes, yet he preferred to wear his old ones until they were threadbare rather than touch what I gave him. It wasn't until I accidentally knocked over the pen his sister had given him that he flew into a rage. Completely losing his composure, he glared at me with disgust and said, "A thief should know their place." Suddenly, I felt so tired, after being diagnosed with a terminal illness. I gave up on treatment and chose to end my life. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day I dropped the pen. Hearing Shun Chuan utter those hurtful words, I spoke calmly. "Let me know when you're free to get a divorce." 1. Shun Chuan clutched the leaking pen, immediately questioning me without understanding the situation. "Why did you drop it?" I met his compelling gaze. I just couldn't understand how someone could slander with such confidence. In my past life, I was too timid to refute. A single stern shout from Shun Chuan could freeze me in place, so much so that he scolded me without giving me a chance to defend myself. After the incident escalated, I became another source of gossip in the residential compound. Everyone said Shun Chuan was a diplomat with a promising future. Marrying an illiterate country girl like me was nothing but bad luck clinging to him. I retorted, "Shun Chuan, with so many people here, how can you be so sure it was me? After I left, you were the only one who sat here." Shun Chuan's thick, dark eyebrows furrowed tightly as he spoke the next words, one by one. "A thief should know their place." Hearing those words again still stings my heart. When I was young, my sister Tianji was kidnapped because she was too playful. It took 13 years before I finally made my way back to my parents. At that time, Shun Chuan was assigned to Songjia village, the village that had adopted me. As soon as he saw me, he said I looked like his friend. It was only later that I found out I was actually connected to his friend. I was taken back home just when I turned 18. After a welcoming banquet, Shun Chuan drunkenly asked me if I would marry him. He is gentle, refined, and full of talent. A person from a completely different world than mine. I had feelings for him. At that moment, overwhelmed with joy, I agreed. I later found out that this marriage arrangement was an agreement between the Shun and Tian families. It should have been a happy occasion for him and my sister. My sister felt guilty toward me and begged him to marry me. Shun Chuan has only ever loved my sister from beginning to end. He was the one who proposed marriage. How did I become the thief? Clearly, I was the one kept in the dark. I'm the most innocent one here. I was utterly confused. What did I steal? My sister Tianji stood between us. The muzzle pointed at Shun Chuan. "Shun Chuan, don't bully Qiuqiu. She's my sister. Can't you just talk to her properly?" Shun Chuan lowered his gaze, and his expression actually softened considerably. How ridiculous. With just one word from Tianji, Shun Chuan immediately became as docile as a house dog. I sneered. I was sitting here perfectly fine, and he insisted that I broke his pen, but I didn't. He treasures this pen so much. It must be something very precious. Since that's the case, why not go and ask the police to investigate? When Tianji saw the pen in Shun Chuan's hand, her expression changed slightly. The pen that Shun Chuan cherished like a treasure was a gift from Tianji. He treated it as something invaluable and carried it with him at all times. Probably because he was afraid his beloved would get involved, Shun Chuan suddenly became anxious. "Song Qiu, can you stop being so unreasonable? The reason I suspect you is because this isn't the first time you've taken it upon yourself to mess with my things." Chapter 2. Today is the welcome party, and the family compound is having a gathering at the square. The red song on stage happened to stop, and the argument in the corner finally drew others' attention. Shun Chuan was a promising diplomat, a well-known and talented young man in the residential compound. As soon as these words were spoken, some immediately tried to smooth things over, while others made harsh remarks. "I'm not discriminating against our peasant comrades, but qualities like these can't be changed overnight. They require education and literacy to develop." "Hey, I heard she can't even read." All kinds of harsh words filled my ears. Yet Shen Chuan didn't see anything wrong with it at all. I shook my head with a bitter smile. The touching things randomly you mentioned. Was it me organizing your clothes? Tidying your desk, refilling your cup when it was empty? Just because of that, you suspect me? After we got married in my previous life, Shen Chuan was always indifferent to me. I always thought I had done something wrong, so I kept trying to please him, doing everything within my power. I just wanted to live a good life, but it turns out that in his eyes, all of this was just ulterior motives. The grievances of 2 lifetimes surged in my heart, my nose tingled with sourness. And I lowered my head to wipe away my tears. Shen Chuan looked stunned, as if he wanted to speak but stopped himself. Someone couldn't stand it either and spoke up for me, saying that after all we were once husband and wife. Why blame me over such a small matter? As the atmosphere remained tense, the women's director stepped forward with her son, Hu Zi, to explain that it was the child who had been mischievous and broken the pen. In the end, Shen Chuan generously decided not to hold a grudge against a child. The stage was taken over by the dance troupe from the cultural troupe, and the evening party regained its lively atmosphere. I stood there for a long time, but didn't receive a single apology. I made my way back alone, braving the night and the cold wind. The light flickered twice before stabilizing, filling the pitch-black room with a warm yellow glow. The room assigned to us when we got married was a 50-square-meter 2-bedroom apartment. Shen Chuan often slept in the small room, and on some nights, he stayed at his workplace. It was only later that I found out he refused to share a bed with me to preserve his chastity for the one he truly loved. Everyone says I'm lucky, but who knows? I've been alone in an empty room for a full 25 years. In the middle of the night, there was a rustling sound outside. Shen Chuan had returned. His footsteps approached from a distance, and he knocked on the small room's door, knocking for several minutes straight. I had no choice but to get up and open the door. Shen Chuan frowned, his tone stiff. Why are you sleeping here? Get some hot water. I need to wash my feet. I pointed to the thermos in the corner and asked sincerely, Shen Chuan, you're not disabled. Can't you do it yourself? Shen Chuan's expression darkened, and his tone was sharp. What are you so upset about? The party wasn't even over yet. And you left so quickly. That's just, Shen Chuan, you inexplicably slandered me, made me a spectacle for everyone to watch, and you don't feel the slightest bit of guilt. Shen Chuan was taken aback and didn't speak. I forced a smile. I was overthinking it, after all. Shen Chuan had come with the intention of venting his emotions. How could he possibly feel sorry? In his previous life, his sister had also announced her upcoming marriage on this very day. Shen Chuan was heartbroken and drowned his sorrows in alcohol, drinking several bottles at the gathering. The pen was just an excuse for him to vent. He just wanted to let off steam. Because I'm the least valuable, there are no negative consequences for venting at me. I looked at the tall, slender man in front of me. Shen Chuan, you're disgusting. Chapter 3. I want a divorce, but now is not a good time. I don't have a job. And the little over 10 yuan I have was secretly saved up from washing clothes for others. Shen Chuan rarely gave me money, and the monthly grocery allowance was fixed, so I didn't dare spend a penny more. Under such circumstances, bringing up divorce was not a wise move, because I had nowhere to go. The next evening, Shen Chuan surprisingly brought me a gift. He placed the item on the table and coldly forced out 2 words, apology gift. I glanced at it twice without opening it. Then brought out the stir-fried dishes. Shen Chuan emphasized, it's a silk scarf, see if you like it. I sat down holding the bowl and answered very seriously, I don't like this, take it back tomorrow. You say you don't like it without even looking at it. Shen Chuan was displeased. The door panel was knocked. The woman in the dress stood gracefully at the door. Shen Chuan moved faster than I did, stepping forward with restraint and eagerness. Tianji, what brings you here? My sister placed a meat dish on the table. I brought you some braised pork belly as a thank you for the gift. This silk scarf is a hot commodity in Pengcheng. I've asked people to buy it for me several times but never managed to get one. Thank you so much, Shen Chuan, Chocho. Shen Chuan specifically bought this to apologize to you. I'm just benefiting from your good fortune. If you don't know how to tie it, I can teach you later. As she spoke, her slender fingers quickly unwrapped the item on the table, pulling out a silk scarf with the same pattern as the one around her neck, though of much lower quality. What do you mean by apology? If this wasn't just a casual gift for me, I could eat it, thanks, but I don't like this. If you like it, sister, you can have this one too. Sister's hand froze. Don't you like this? Yeah, I don't like it. I glanced at her, then looked at Shen Chuan, with a faint smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. Lowering my gaze to conceal the emotions within, the exact same gift, divided into different grades, given to two people. Shen Chuan, you really are something. My sister came and went in a hurry. Shen Chuan ran out to see her off. After the meal, I burned the silk scarf on the table. In my previous life, I had also received an identical gift. Back then, I was overjoyed, strutting around like a peacock, wearing it everywhere I went. Later, I saw my sister wearing a scarf with the exact same pattern. It was also sent by Shen Chuan, the scarf with sparks burned into a ball. Shen Chuan came back and saw this scene. Furious, Song Qiu, what madness are you up to? I looked coldly at Shen Chuan. Shen Chuan, I know exactly who you really want to buy it for. Don't use me as an excuse anymore. Or I can't guarantee I won't lose my temper and say something in front of others. How dare you? Shen Chuan gritted his teeth. Song Qiu, this is what we owe her. I've already married you. What more do you want? Hearing this, I burst into laughter. Shen Chuan, if you had the courage back then, you could have directly refused this marriage arrangement, instead of being like this now, keeping what you have while eyeing what you don't. I, Song Qiu, have never owed any of you anything. You, because of your own guilty consciences, set up a scheme to deceive me, and now you turn around and say that I, the one kept in the dark, am the culprit. Shen Chuan, tell me, what benefits have I gained from this marriage? None. What I've received are cold stares, ridicule, and a marriage that exists in name only. Shen Chuan's face suddenly changed, and he froze in place. I stared straight at him. Shen Chuan, you're nothing but a coward who only knows how to shift blame. Shen Chuan and I have fallen into an unprecedented Cold War, but calling it a Cold War doesn't quite capture it. Shen Chuan appears stiff and awkward when facing me. He tried to strike up a conversation with me, but I just found it incredibly annoying. After being reborn, the first thing I learned was to stop revolving around Shen Chuan. I spent the entire day looking for a job. When I got home, I found it pitch black. I pulled the cord, but the light didn't respond at all. The light is broken. I took 2 steps and didn't know who had placed a chair in the middle of the living room. The sharp pain made my calf tremble. Ah. Shen Chuan's voice sounded in the darkness. What's wrong? I was both angry and resentful. Shen Chuan, are you crazy? When you found out the light was broken at night, didn't you think to change the bulb? You were always the one who changed it before. I thought I'd wait for you to come back to change it. Shen Chuan turned on the flashlight, and the pitch-black room instantly became illuminated. My calf was burning with a sharp pain, and bright red blood was flowing down from it. The rusty iron nail on the knocked-over chair was stained with specks of blood. Shen Chuan was visibly flustered. Wait here, I'll take you to get a tetanus shot. He had just helped me up when his phone rang. Shen Chuan went to answer the call, and I faintly heard a familiar name. Then, Shen Chuan hung up the phone as if he had completely forgotten about me and ran off directly. I sat in the darkness for who knows how long. In the end, I dragged my leg, limping, to the nearest clinic. Chapter 4. Shen Chuan didn't return until 2 days later, and his words were all about Tianji's marriage. Lu Qin and his family have gone too far. The Lu family is really no good. That little sister-in-law is so young but already full of schemes. Song Qiu, when you have time, spend more time with your sister. She's in a very bad state emotionally right now. Lu Qin is Tianji's fiancé. From a well-off military family with connections in politics, the military, and business, such a family, if not of equal social status, would find it hard to be regarded favorably by the other party. One can imagine the difficulties Tianji faced, but this was her own choice. Shen Chuan did not know that Tianji deliberately called off the marriage arrangement between the Shun and Tian families in order to secure a match with the Lu family. He saw that I wasn't speaking. He furrowed his brows and looked over. Why aren't you saying anything? I smiled, feeling a slight tingling in my right calf. What are you talking about? About how you abandoned your wife to comfort her sister? Shen Chuan's face flushed with anger. The situation was urgent at the time. I didn't have time to explain to you. Your sister had a high fever and had no choice but to call me. Can you stop always thinking of things in that way? Let me say it again. There's no possibility between us. I nodded absent-mindedly. Right. She was sick. Out of all her friends she could have contacted, she had to reach out to you. I know, it's purely friendship between you two. Shen Chuan's face instantly turned darker than the bottom of a pot. I left feeling completely satisfied. 2 days later, my calf was mobile enough to walk around. After careful consideration, I ultimately decided to work at the most expensive Western restaurant. Western restaurants don't consider academic qualifications. On the day of the interview, we briefly tried an English conversation. The store manager agreed without hesitation. In my previous life, after marrying Shen Chuan, I had nothing to do and taught myself several languages. This is the foundation of my life. The second week of work. The province has business cooperation with foreign countries, and the restaurant has signed a meal contract with the government, delivering meals to clients continuously for half a month. The restaurant is especially busy. A French client accidentally ate food containing shrimp due to miscommunication with the waiter and had an allergic reaction. I volunteered to take charge and followed up on the matter throughout. Finally, this troublesome matter was resolved. I didn't realize your French is as good as your English. It's nothing. I taught myself. I've been self-studying for over 20 years, so it's almost like a native language now. The store manager gave me a few days off, but I only slept for 2 hours. Shen Chuan pulled me up from the bed. Song Qiu, is this how you act as a wife? It's been days, and the house is in such a mess, yet you don't even bother to take care of it, coming home so late every night. What exactly have you been doing outside? 3 days from now is your mother's birthday. Get ready and remember to go back the day after tomorrow. Don't go wandering outside anymore. I've been working so intensely these past few days that I even forgot there's an annoying person at home. I broke free from Shen Chuan. When you work overtime, it's considered working overtime. But when I work overtime, it's just me playing outside. Shen Chuan, be reasonable. Both partners in a marriage are responsible for household matters. It's not that you don't have to do them just because you're busy. I've been doing them for 2 years since I married you. Now it's your turn. Shen Chuan couldn't believe it. You got a job. What kind of job? Can't I support you? Isn't it good to stay at home? You have to go out and work, coming home late every day. Do you think that's a proper job? Shen Chuan, even the chairman said women hold up half the sky. How can you be more feudal than someone from the Qing dynasty? I was utterly astonished. Shen Chuan had nothing to say and pushed the door open to leave. Shen Chuan and I parted on bad terms. Little did I expect that he would stoop to such treacherous depths. After 3 days of rest, I went to the restaurant and learned that Shen Chuan had come and arbitrarily cancelled my work. I tried to communicate with the manager to retain my position, but she refused to see me. From then on, my first job ended in failure. Furious, I returned to the Tian family. My arrival did not catch the attention of the Tian family. I have grown accustomed to their indifference toward me. I was abducted 13 years ago, and even though I have returned now, I cannot blend into this family. Shen Chuan got up from beside Tianji and frowned at me. I bought 2 cans of baby formula and left them at home. Why didn't you bring them? I looked at him. His expression was completely normal, without a trace of guilt. I really couldn't understand how someone could be so shameless. I raised my hand and slapped Shen Chuan twice across the face. This slap is for the me from 2 years in the future. This slap is for you taking the liberty of quitting my job without asking me. Shen Chuan covered his face. 2 palm prints neatly marked on it. He couldn't believe it. Song Qiu, have you lost your mind? I nodded. I'm about to lose it, driven crazy by all of you. Shen Chuan, let's get a divorce. Chapter 5. The Tian family had quite a few guests. After I delivered those 2 slaps, the atmosphere first fell silent, then accusations came pouring down like a tidal wave. Tianji shielded Shen Chuan, on the verge of tears. Qiu. What is it that we can't discuss properly? How could you resort to hitting someone? My own parents looked at me with extremely disappointed eyes. Song Qiu, today is your mother's birthday, and Shen Chuan, as your husband, came early to help out just so you could sleep in at home. You hit him without even asking for an explanation, and you keep talking about divorce. Who taught you to behave like this? Shen Chuan has already followed up on your job situation. You have no education. You haven't studied. What kind of decent job can you even do? Instead of being cheated out there, you'd be better off staying home and taking good care of your husband. It's been 2 years since you got married, and you still haven't had a child. How are we supposed to explain this to your in-laws? These words are utterly inhuman, as if I were the one being unreasonable. In the past, I would have been upset for quite a while, but now, I don't care anymore. I have never felt favored. So now I favor myself. I gave the old couple of the Okita family a sarcastic smile. Shen Chuan deserves to be hit. He acts on his own authority, thinking he's always right, and believes that just because I married him, he can control the rest of my life. It's a new era now. Even people in ancient times weren't as feudal as you. He ruined my job. Isn't it fair that he got slapped? Besides, with just $5 a month, planning over a dozen times a day, constantly worried about overspending on groceries. I don't want to live like that anymore. Is that wrong? As I said this, I stared straight at Shen Chuan. He covered his face, looking embarrassed and awkward, standing behind Tianji without saying a word. Then he looked toward my biological parents. Their eyes and eyebrows somewhat resembled both mine and Tianji's. Yet, I didn't feel even a hint of the warmth they showed toward Tianji from them. Perhaps there was, but unfortunately, I don't remember much from my childhood. My tone softened, and I smiled. I only spent 5 years with you all. Don't worry, it wasn't you who taught me. Even if people say I lack upbringing, I won't disgrace you. I don't see you as parents. So don't see me as your daughter either. Your Tian family is a scholarly one, with 3 teachers among you, 2 adults and 1 child. If even the leader's words don't matter to you, how can you raise students with proper values? Women hold up half the sky. What's wrong with me finding a job? Who am I bothering? Also, having children isn't something I can decide alone. If you want children, you're still young. Have more yourselves. This marriage, I'm definitely getting a divorce. I rattled off a whole bunch of words, completely unlike the little mouse who couldn't squeeze out a single word before. When I left, I let out a breath, my clenched fingers still trembling slightly. So satisfying. Chapter 6. I couldn't bear to give up my high-paying job. So I went back to the restaurant twice more, but unfortunately, the manager refused to see me. I can only stay at home unemployed, scouring through newspapers for a new job. During this period, Shen Chuan frequently came back. With 2 bright red slap marks on his face, he suddenly became unusually attentive. He took the initiative to cook, even went downstairs to fetch hot water himself, and did his own laundry. I don't know what he wants to do, but it doesn't matter. I don't care. Not long after, the women's director came to our door. Comrade Shen Chuan said your marital relationship needs mediation. He mentioned you want to divorce him because of work issues. Comrade Song Chiu. Our women's federation still needs members. If you're willing, why not come and give it a try? What is this? Give a beating, then offer a sweet date. To make a countercharge is truly ridiculous. Director, thank you, but I don't need it. I will handle the job situation myself. As for the divorce, I am determined to go through with it. The women's director wanted to say more, but I stopped her from continuing. I understand what you mean, but, Sai, I've been married for 2 years. And for 2 years I've been living as a widow in all but name. I really can't take it anymore. Do you know how much it hurts every time my family points at me and says I can't have children? But this isn't something one person can solve alone. I'm a normal woman, and I want to live a normal life too. That's why I'm desperately trying to escape. I hope you won't stand in the way of me leaving. When the women's committee director left, her mouth was still hanging open in shock. That evening, Shen Chuan came back in a rage, demanding to know why I was talking nonsense. I looked completely innocent. When did I ever talk nonsense? Which thing I said wasn't true? You haven't shared a bed with me for 2 years, have you? All for the sake of my dear sister, isn't that right? Do you think it's better if I say it's due to your physical condition, or that your heart belongs to someone else? If you don't like how I put it, I'll change my wording next time. As soon as the words were spoken, Shen gritted his teeth and glared. Song Chiu, what are you trying to do? Looking at his anxious expression, I suddenly laughed. No wonder. In my previous life, I was married to Shen Chuan for 25 years. My temples gradually turned grey, and I was afflicted with a terminal illness. Shen Chuan suddenly told me he wanted a divorce, because my sister Tianji had gotten divorced. The 2 of them can rekindle their past relationship, and I, this useless, unwelcome tool, can be kicked aside. They are the true love. I repeated once again with seriousness. I only want a divorce, but if you push me any further, I can't guarantee what I might do. Shen Chuan didn't agree immediately, saying he needed to think about it more. Effort will eventually pay off. I found a translation job. To be precise, the manager helped arrange a guarantor. It was my third time going to a Western restaurant. The manager saw me. She told me the reason she didn't dare to give me the job was Shenchuan. Diplomat Shenchuan often interacts with foreign guests, and one of the main services of their Western restaurant is providing 3 meals a day for these guests. A few words could ruin their restaurant, and they really didn't want to take that risk. But she couldn't stand by and watch, so she helped me find a translation job. After 2 rounds of trial translations, I successfully passed. Even so, I don't have a diploma. And I still need someone to vouch for me. The store manager helped without a second thought. To show my gratitude, I treated her to a meal. Honestly, this is the best time for you to leave. To be frank, I've been thinking about leaving too. Several new restaurants have opened nearby, and they've taken a lot of our business. I am drinking coffee. I didn't tell her that the country would develop even faster in the future. What Western restaurant? There's nothing special about it. But the store manager has been kind to me, so I feel inclined to give a reminder. You've hosted so many foreign clients, you could consider starting your own business. With the country's reform and opening up, more and more foreigners want to see the magnificent landscapes here. Having a professional tour group would make a big difference. The shop manager looked somewhat surprised, then fell into deep thought. I could tell she was taking it seriously. Chapter 7. Song Chiu. What are you doing here? Who is he? Shenchuan, emerging from some corner, came out to confront me, having lost even the pride of his rationality, looking as if he had been cheated on. Song Chiu, when you told me you wanted a divorce, was it so you could meet some other man here? You say I'm not good enough. But what about you? Causing everyone in the cafe to look over, I suppressed the urge to roll my eyes and made Shenchuan see clearly whether the person across from me was a man or a woman. What do you mean? Who are you calling a wild man? I'm a woman. Okay, the shop owner shouted angrily. Shenchuan suddenly came to his senses. It had never occurred to him that he had mistaken the gender of the person his wife was cheating with from the very beginning. Feeling insulted, the shop owner yelled loudly that she was going to call the police. Shenchuan frowned, looked at me, and waited for me to speak. Just then, Tianji appeared. Chocho, this matter was purely an accident, after all. Shenchuan is your husband. Making a big deal out of it won't do either of you any good. Can we just let this go? I looked at the two of them with great interest. Shenchuan hesitated to speak, but he was even more willing to listen to Tianji and stood aside. Remaining silent, I sighed and said, I'm sorry, but it's not up to me to forgive or not forgive right now. It's my friend who isn't willing to let Shenchuan off. If you have Shenchuan sincerely apologize to my friend, there might still be a chance to move past this. Then, Shenchuan swallowed his anger and said sorry. In the end, he also paid for our table, and only then was the matter settled. Before parting, the manager said to call me if there's any change. I'm looking forward to her call. There's quite a bit of translation work. I'll take the things home. At first, the translation was very slow. I went back and forth to the library several times just to find the right word. Shenchuan only found out later that I was doing translation work. That day, I was so absorbed in my work that I didn't notice him coming in. I never knew you actually understood English. The string that was taut in my heart snapped, and my thoughts snapped along with it. I turned my head and rolled my eyes. There are plenty of things you don't know, like how to knock before entering someone's room. Even after all these years, Shenchuan, you'd better make sure you're bringing me good news, like agreeing to a divorce or something. Shenchuan's smile froze on his face, then he gave a bitter laugh. Is divorce the only thing on your mind? Have we really come to this point? He murmured. That day at the cafe, when you saw me with your sister, you didn't even show a hint of jealousy. It seems like you're really drifting further and further away from me. I'm feeling a bit irritable. Who wants to be here with you? Lamenting the spring and grieving over autumn, reminiscing about the past, failed to get divorced again today. Right, if you're not leaving today, please get out of the room, I need to work. I started to get impatient and began shooing people away. Shenchuan, however, remained motionless, his eyes filled with sorrow. Is this really the only way for us? I realized something was off about him. But what's the difference between this and showing up with milk only after the child has died? I suppressed my anger and responded to Shenchuan with utmost seriousness. Yes, there's no chance for us anymore. Our marriage was a mistake from the very beginning. You don't like me. And you're very irresponsible. Just because someone told you to get married, you did, and then you blamed me for it. Are you some kind of child who can't think for yourself? Shun Chuan agreed to the divorce. Later, after I finished my translation work, I learned from others that Tianji got married that day. I caused a big scene at the Tian family's place earlier. They didn't inform me about Tianji's wedding. The neighbor who told me the news was watching my expression. It seemed like they were curious about why I didn't go. Perhaps it could even make for a good laugh. I smiled at her. I genuinely felt happy. The Tian family should stay far away from me. I got the divorce certificate. I used my first month's translation fee to rent a smaller apartment. My boss said my translations have a unique flavor, a distinctive vitality. He asked me to translate foreign literary novels. Once successful, an additional line appeared on the cover, Translator, Song Chiu. I was both nervous and excited about this. 3 months later, I successfully translated a famous novel. I earned a considerable amount of money. It's enough for me to do nothing and have a good rest for a while. I plan to stop taking translation jobs and then take the university entrance exam. But the store manager found me. The Western restaurant closed. She used her years of savings to open an international travel company. She asked if I wanted to join. Chapter 8. I never expected that what started as a not-so-mature suggestion would make my career flourish. With the profits, I persuaded the store manager to invest and open a factory. Later, when I went out, I became someone called General Manager Song. I relied on the small benefits from my rebirth to acquire something for myself to rely on. I met Shen Chuan again at a cocktail party. It had been 2 years since our divorce. Suddenly, Shen Chuan made his way through the crowd and came to my side, his gaze slowly sweeping over me. Song Chiu, how have you been these days? He asked, then felt ridiculous himself. Look at what I'm saying. You're already the famous President Song. I smiled without saying a word. After having money, I even find Shen Chuan pleasing to the eye, as long as he doesn't borrow money from me. I originally thought this encounter was by chance. I never expected. Shen Chuan even came to wait for me at the company, saying he wanted to treat me to a meal. I had my assistant decline. After that, Shen Chuan came almost every day, rain or shine. Now even the company is spreading rumors. He's pursuing me. How ridiculous. An ex-husband chasing his ex-wife, however. I agreed to meet with Shen Chuan. Do you realize that your behavior has become harassment? Is the young and promising diplomat, Mr. Shen Chuan, harassing his ex-wife? The joyful smile on his face didn't last long before turning into an awkward and uneasy restraint. Song Chiu, I just wanted to see you. I'm not harassing you. I can't figure it out. I really can't. After 2 years of marriage, why don't you want to see me? Why didn't you want to see me during the 2 years before the divorce? What are you pretending to be ignorant about now? I asked. Why do you want to see me? He suddenly stepped forward and took my hand, his eyes filled with deep emotion. Song Chiu, can we start over? Ever since the divorce, I haven't been able to adjust to life without you. Every day, I rely on your photos and the novels you translated just to fall asleep. I truly regret it. Song Chiu, I've realized that my feelings for Tianji were nothing more than a simple sibling bond. Can you give me another chance? I expressionlessly shook him off. No, after all, who would go back to eating shit? I turned around and wrote a letter of complaint to Shen Chuan's supervisor. After that, Shen Chuan disappeared without a trace. I suppose his path won't be so smooth from now on. What inability to adapt to life after divorce. They just see that I'm doing well and want a share of the pie. After having money, worries have also increased. The Tian family no longer has their former arrogance. They always come up to me and make small talk. My biological parents showed up at the company unannounced and started giving orders. I immediately had them thrown out. They then started trying to place their people in the company. I told them I'm only the second in command and don't have the authority. After a few rounds, when they couldn't take advantage of me, they started subtly belittling me in front of others, saying I had a bad character, but it didn't work. I do good deeds every month. I sponsor all the orphans in Songjia village, the place that adopted me, to go to school, and I even hired journalists to follow and document it. Everyone knows I'm the great philanthropist in the city. The Tian family couldn't understand my reasoning at all, and they still say I'm unfilial. When the new factory was inaugurated, I took the opportunity to speak into a reporter's microphone and share my previously unknown hardships. Being abducted at 5 years old and then forced into an arranged marriage immediately after returning at 18. This inevitably makes people suspect there might be something fishy going on. I also seized the chance to fund anti-trafficking operations, helping more children return to their rightful homes. Everyone knows, I am a great philanthropist. The philanthropist gives money in a tangible way. You dare to speak of the great philanthropist? Can you give this money? Later on, the Liu family fell from power. Tianji was detained for 3 months and, after being confirmed to have no issues, returned to the Tian family in a disheveled state. Looking at the bold headlines in the newspaper, I smiled contentedly. It was worth collecting so much evidence. The sunlight in the yard was just right. I sat in the rocking chair and slowly closed my eyes. Memories go back to when I was 5 years old. My sister argued with our mother, insisting that the apple in my hand was bigger than the one in hers, and she wanted to swap. I willingly swapped. Later, my sister said she would take me out to play and buy some candy. She told me to wait at the school gate, and I waited and waited and waited. I was taken away, crying, screaming, and shouting, but my sister, hiding in the shadows, just wouldn't come out to save me. The TV station interview has concluded. The assistant arranged a celebration banquet. After the meal, as we stepped outside, a torrential downpour began falling from the sky. Tianji walked step by step through the rain, holding an umbrella. Chocho, I want to talk to you. The banquet hall still smelled of alcohol and food. 2 tall, burly bodyguards stood at the door. I casually pulled up a chair and sat down. Is there something you need? Tianji clearly hadn't been doing well these days. The flesh on her cheeks had sunken in, giving her a somewhat harsh appearance. Her bloodshot eyes stared fixedly at me. Song Qiu, you've come back too, haven't you? Looking at her gritted teeth expression, I suddenly burst out laughing. So what if I am? Tianji cried. She cried that I had ruined her life. I am your own sister. How dare you treat me like this? Song Qiu, you are so cruel. I lifted my foot and kicked the stool away. So I'm your own sister. How dare you treat me like this? Tianji, I was just young back then, not stupid. You ruined my entire life. I'm just giving you a taste of your own medicine. Tianji stood frozen in place, unable to even cry. But I gave Shen Chuan to you. Phut, you want me to be a grass widow for life, serving a man, and then get divorced because of you when I'm on the verge of death from illness? Are you sure you're not trying to ruin me? Tianji, the greatest torment of my life has been you. How dare you come looking for me again? Tianji was so frightened that she ran off, even leaving her umbrella behind. Stumbling into the rain, I watched the scene with great interest. I turned my head and smiled as I instructed my assistant, arrange for ginger tea for everyone. With the rain coming down like this, be careful not to catch a cold.